In this lecture, we will discuss some more examples of vector subspaces. One common examples of a subset of symmetric matrix, if we consider a vector space as a set of all n cross n matrices with the under the standard addition and the scalar multiplications of matrices. So let me consider R of n cross n, that is the set of all n cross n matrices. Then we know that this is a vector space, a real vector space over the standard operation, over the standard addition and scalar multiplication. Now let me consider some subset of Rn cross n. We will consider a set of all symmetric matrices, and the notation we use for the symmetric matrices is Sn. So this means that it contains all the matrices of order n cross n, I and j varies from 1 to n with the property that Aij is same as Aji. Now obviously this is a subset of R n cross n. We need to check, so the claim here is that this Sn is a vector subspace of Rn cross n. So claim or check that Sn is a subspace of Rn cross n. Okay, so here we know that to show something, a set is a vector subspace of a given space, we need to check for the 3 points. We need to see whether the zero element from the given vector space is it in the set S, is in the given subset of vector space. Second thing, we need to see whether plus is closed under that given set, and the third thing, we need to see whether the scalar multiplication is closed under the given set. So first, how to verify that the zero vector is in Sn? So the characteristic of this set is that it contains all n cross n matrices with the property that those matrices are symmetric. Symmetric means its transpose is same as the given matrix, which means that Aij is same as Aji if Aij denotes the entry from the matrix. Fine. So we need to check whether the zero matrix is symmetric. So that's the first thing. Now zero matrix is a matrix wherein all the entries are zero. Okay, so zero matrix in this case is the matrix Aij where Aij are all zero, real values and 0. So in this case your Aij would be same as Aji, as it's going to be again 0. Okay, because it is true for all I and j, the entries are 0. So therefore what we see is that in this case the given matrix is a symmetric matrix. Therefore I can say that 0 belongs to Sn. Now the second property we need to check, if I take any 2 points, if I take any 2 matrices from this Sn, will the addition will be element of this Sn. So if I take, let say Aij and Bij are the elements of Sn. which means that Aij and Bij are symmetric. Now I am not going to waste my time showing that for the symmetric matrix the transpose A plus B, the whole transpose is nothing but A transpose plus B transpose, which means that A plus B is also symmetric, right? So then we know that Aij plus Bij is also symmetric. The reason is this is proved, okay? This is proved in the course of matrix algebra. If Aij and Bij are symmetric, then Aij plus Bij is also symmetric, which means that Aij plus Bij is an element of Sn. So by this we prove that if I take any elements of Sn, their sum will also be an element of Sn. Third thing, again, if I start with any scalar and any symmetric matrix, so this implies that Aij is symmetric. What can we say about its scalar multiple? Scalar multiple basically is defined as the matrix whose entries is nothing but that scalar into given Aij. Okay, so this is also symmetric, and in this case what we observe is that Aij belongs to Sn. Now this is also proved, okay? So I don't show the proof of this as it is already proved using the properties of transpose of a matrix. So using this three property, one can say that the collection which is taken as a subset of Rn cross n is a subspace of Rn cross n. So from 1, 2 and 3 I can say that Sn is a subspace of Rn cross n. Okay. Similarly, if I collect set of all skew symmetric matrices, then also it is a subspace, because again we know that the sum of two skew symmetric matrices is skew symmetric. Then if given a symmetric matrix, its scalar multiple is also a skew symmetric matrix, okay, and also zero matrix is a skew symmetric matrix, okay. So therefore I can say that even if I collect collect the matrices, square matrices which are skew symmetric, that also form a subspace of Rn cross n. Well, the next example will take set of functions. So we know that if I collect set of all continuous function on a given domain, then it's a subspace, it's a vector space. In fact, it can be considered as a subspace of set of all functions defined on R. Okay, so here I'll consider the space as this 0, 1, the set of all continuous function defined on the interval 0, 1, a subspace, a space, vector space on Rn with the usual addition and scalar multiplication. Let me collect now all the functions which are defined on the same domain and they are differentiable. Okay, so we use the notation as the script d from 0, 1 to R. Okay, so this is what set of all functions f from 0, 1 to R with the property that f is differentiable. Now from the knowledge of analysis we know that every differentiable function is continuous. right? But every continuous function need not be a differentiable, so which means that this collection is in fact a proper subset of the given vector space C of 0, 1, r, right? So now we need to check whether this is a subspace of C0, 1. So it's going to be a subspace first of all. So first thing you need to check is the 0 vector belongs to D of 0, 1. In this case the 0 vector is nothing but the 0 function, as we are dealing with the function, a set of a function. So this is the first question that we have. Now 0 function being a constant function, it is differentiable on every point of the domain, and therefore it has to be a part of this. Okay, so 0 function is nothing but 0 of x is equal to 0. This is how the function is defined. This is my 0 vector. Okay, and being a constant function, every constant function is differentiable. Okay, differentiable in fact on any domain, but in this case we have restricted the domain to 0, 1. So therefore we say that 0 belongs to okay. Second thing, again these are the properties taken which we have proved in analysis, that is, if we have two differentiable function defined on the same domain, then their addition is also differentiable on the same domain. Okay, so let f and g belongs to D of 0, 1, r, which means that, again I will not prove the property, if required you have to prove in the examination. So f and g are both differentiable at closed interval on 0, 1, on the closed interval 0, 1. So if that's the case, then we have proved that f plus g, this implies that f plus g and even f minus g, but here we required f plus g is differentiable on 0, 1. Once it is differentiable, this means that f plus g belongs to the collection D of 0, 1 to r. Okay, so this proves that addition is closed under this collection. Second thing, a third thing, we need to check whether the scalar into the differentiable function is again a differentiable. So suppose I say alpha is any r and f is a function belonging to this collection, that means it's a differentiable on the domain 0, 1. So this implies that f is differentiable on 0, 1. And now we know that if it is differentiable, then any scalar multiple of f is also differentiable on 0, 1. So that's enough to say that alpha f also belongs to the collection. Fine. Yes. So these are some examples. In this way we can generate many examples. So in fact, given a vector space, we would like to know the number of subspaces that it can have. Okay, so in the next session we will discuss how to construct, how to generate a subspace containing some points of a vector space. Okay, before that there are a couple of observations which are not mentioned earlier. So observation, first thing, you observe that if I have V as a singleton x with plus and dot, that is addition and scalar multiplication, defined as follow. Okay, I mean only way you can define addition is that x plus x is equal to x, because there's only one element in this set x and this set v. So I mean, even if I say x plus y is equal to something, then that y have to be same as x, because that x is coming from v. So the only way you can define addition is that x plus x goes to x. Okay, and also alpha dot x also goes to x. Only in this case you can prove that v forms a vector space. Okay, so then V is a vector space. Okay, so if this is the case, can anyone tell me, I mean, if this is the case, then what do we observe is that this x have to be a spatial element of this V. Spatial in the sense, see, I can consider this x as a spatial element as of now, and this x as any element of V. So what we are having, that this x plus that spatial element give me that x. Okay, which means that this x plays role of identity element, additive identity element, right? Now I mean, which says that this x has to be a zero element. Now the zero element always in a vector space is not the natural zero that we are talking about. It can be a non-zero element in a simple set, but in a vector space it is called as the zero element. Okay, similarly we want alpha into x to be same as x. That will happen provided this x is a zero vector. Okay, so then V is a vector space with this x taking only element as a zero. So if at all we know that V is a vector space with a singleton set, with a singleton, then it should contain that the single element that is contained in the set is nothing but the additive identity of the given set. Okay, so therefore we proved that a set with 0 in it, only 0 in it, is a vector space. And so if you are given any vector space V, the obvious way of forming a vector subspace of that V is you just take one element in a set, okay, and that is the zero element. So we have the next observation as this: for given any vector space V, okay, just observe this V will always contain a zero element. So this zero, a set containing only zero element, will always be a vector subspace of this V. And also V itself will also form a vector subspace of this. So for given any vector space V, this set and this set, this subset, these two subset, basically they are subset. When do we say a given subset a vector space? If it itself forms the vector space. Okay, so therefore this and this are called, because there will be always be a subspace of the given V, they are called as the trivial subspace. And any other subspace of V, it's called non-trivial subspace of V. So in general we will be interested in finding the non-trivial subspace of V. Okay, so with this I end up this video. In the next session we will talk about how to generate a smallest subspace containing some particular vector. Thank you.